Cool. Welcome to June 6th Burndown meeting. As a reminder for everyone, these are being recorded and will be posted to a public YouTube, so please observe the Kubernetes Code of Conduct, which basically boils down to don't be a jerk. And with that, I will pass it over to Kendrick to give an enhancements update.
No update. 26 green, all strong. That's all we got.
Cool. All right, I will pass it over to George for CI signal.
I am so happy to finally be able to say this. We are green. Master blocking, nothing that looks too bad right now. 115 blocking, same story. What was the only thing? Master blocking, there's a k8s master serial job, the latest run. There were a bunch of tests that failed, but hopefully that's gonna resolve. It doesn't look like an actual failure. And that leaves us then with master informing. So just to keep you all up to date with master informing, the bunch of failures in test grid that have a before suite, all of those again are related to the 2GC based test. So they're not using kubeadm to stand up a cluster, they're using the kubeup bash script from the repo. Currently, there have been two avenues of trying to resolve those issues. One of them is a revert from core DNS 1.5 to 1.3.1, which was a version that we've been using thus far, and that's one PR. The other one is to actually to actually keep the latest core DNS version 1.5 and have a new config that's gonna make the cluster work as expected. There's been some back and forth, but last I checked, the upgrade, the PR for fixing the upgrade to the latest core DNS version is the one that is being favored because of scalability issues. Besides that, there are some new failures that I mentioned yesterday from SIG scalability. I was talking with some folks from the SIG, and the failure seems to be related to Prow. Something about restarting pods way too often, and that's causing some timeouts. So apparently nothing to do with Kubernetes, just the test infrastructure. Kinder test. There's nothing wrong with them. I just wanted to mention they're amazing. They're looking great. And the C cluster lifecycle reboot test, I mentioned those yesterday. And after a couple more runs, seems that everything is okay in there. But we CI signal are gonna label them as flaky issues, and we're gonna check in with cluster lifecycle and see if, whether there's anything that we can do to do the test more less flaky. And that's it for today. Any comments, questions that you all have?
So it sounds like none of the flaking tests in master blocking you're particularly concerned about, or the flaking tests in 115 blocking.
Yeah, the four jobs are flaking in both of the blocking dashboards. They are labeled as flaking because they're just clearing out. So no latest failures except for the k8s master serial, but we're gonna keep an eye on that one.
Okay. Given the current state of how CI signal is looking, like hypothetically, if we were to want to release tomorrow, not that we are, but like hypothetically speaking, like would you be comfortable with CI signal as it is, or would you want those the PRs for master informing to be merged first?
I will be comfortable. So, and please if somebody knows better, please correct me. But master blocking should really be blocking the master informing the issue with core DNS. I guess that's an issue that for some reason it doesn't get resolved, and we got a release tomorrow. I think that should be something that we should inform downstream users. As we've been testing Kubernetes, we've been testing upgrades in Kubernetes with core DNS version 1.3, and possibly 1.5 is gonna resolve some issues if you're running large clusters. But I don't think we should consider that as strictly blocking the Kubernetes release.
Okay.
Mhm.
Cool. Any other thoughts from anyone around the state of CI signal or any other questions?
I just wanted to call out the top 3 flaking tests for the integration suite have been resolved in the last day and a half. 2 of those were actually legitimate bugs. So it's good that we drilled those down. But yeah, the integration test should look a lot less flaky after this morning.
Okay, awesome. That's great to hear. Cool. Anything else for CI signal? All right, we can go over to bug triage then.
Good morning. All right, so we have about 8 open PRs and about the same number of issues. So we are getting close to what I would consider green. I'm actually pretty confident saying green at the moment. However, there are a couple of outstanding issues that are we need to pull some attention to. 78302 is a pull request that Liggitt changed to milestone 115 as part of like a visibility for the discussion. It's around deleting core DNS config map during upgrade to get to the latest config map. If this isn't considered like release blocking, then I am inclined to move it. I don't think that we necessarily need to be having holding up the milestone based on a discussion.
The main question was whether whether it had to go in for 115. It's a little unclear whether the revert is going to happen. If the revert happens, then this is not needed. If we're okay shipping the current version of core DNS with KubeUp and it's not used for production and we don't have to care about upgrade, then this is also not needed. But until we resolve those 2 questions, we can't kick it out of the milestone.
Do you have a link to the PR or the issue?
Yep, I've got it. Let me just find it really quick. All right, put in chat.
Thank you.
And another one, associated similar thing, revert core DNS to 131 in KubeUp. Like Jordan was saying, that's another one that seems to be holding up the release. Those are the major issues. I think there was one other that 78553, I believe, is also someone saying that this is a release blocking. So let me put that in the chat as well.
Yeah, that'd be helpful.
So these are the 2 big ones that I'm particularly concerned about. This one is around protecting the remaining item count behind a feature flag, also updating the API doc is the title.
Okay. Do you happen to have a link to that PR as well?
Yep, I'm sorry. There you go.
Cool, thank you.
So yeah, these are the 2 big ones that I think are holding us up. We still need an answer around core DNS. When do we think we might get that? Jordan, any insight on that?
I don't know. I know the 3 teams involved are the scalability team, the KubeAtom team, and maybe it's just those 2. I guess also whoever owns KubeUp, those 3. I've seen discussion on it, but I don't know who is driving the resolution on it.
Okay. I'll see if I can reach out to some of those folks. So I'm a yellow, basically. If these get resolved, then I'm green. But that's about it for me.
Yeah, let me know how I or any of my shadows who have availability today can help get these questions answered on these 3 open items.
All right, will do. Thank you.
Yes. Any other questions for bug triage?
Is this being recorded? It doesn't look like it is.
Yes, George is recording.
All right, thanks, George.
Yes, he's got a fancy machine that records without going to the cloud.
Ooh, so fancy.
Cool. Okay, if there's nothing else for bug triage, I can pass it over for test infra.
Hey everyone, we had about 93 PRs merged in 7 days and about 4 since yesterday. So we can see the drop because of code freeze. And test infra is healthy. The issue which George mentioned, we'll take a look at it. I think it just surfaced in front of me. So, and everything is green. Thank you.
Okay. Cool. Any other questions for test infra? Okay. We can go over to docs.
Hi, everybody. So we are tracking 21 PR right now, and they're all under review. I mean, they are in reviewable state. So we are trying to push as many reviewers or people to help out so that we can have all those PR made by June 10th. So that's what we are up to.
Okay. Cool. Thank you. Any questions for docs? Okay. Then we can go over to release notes.
With no updates since yesterday.
Cool. Comms? Yeah, that sounds good to me. Most of my morning Eastern is pretty open. The afternoon after about 1 Eastern is flexible enough that I can move things if needed. Yeah. Perhaps maybe you, myself, and then my shadows, Lockie, Tim, and Nico might be able to help with that. I know I don't think Tim and Nico are on the call, but Lockie, let me know if you do not want to be signed up for this. Yep.
I think the other thing, George, that we need to consider is some of those themes may now be stale, given that half of the enhancements have been pulled, or roughly 20 of them. So we need to go back and rectify what's actually in there with the themes, because a lot of the themes that were provided by SIGs were based on the notion that enhancements were going to land. So yeah.
Cool. What color are we feeling? Yeah. Yes. Yes. I remember that from last cycle. Cool. Sounds good. So yeah, feel free to put something on my calendar so I can help. Hopefully I can get some of my shadows as well to help. Cool. Anything else for comms? No worries. All right, I will pass it over to Cheryl.
Excuse me. So from my end, yesterday beta 2 was cut, and upon doing that, I realized some of the artifacts from that cut did not show up on the Kubernetes release GCB bucket. So we're digging into that and seeing what happened there, but beta 2 is released anyway. So that's that. Other than that, upcoming cut will be on June 11th for the release candidate 1. So I'm labeling this as yellow for now. That's it for me.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, Cheryl, let us know if you need any help as your team digs into that.
Yeah, it's just like the announcement HTML files and like the subject, that kind of stuff that you would post to the k8s Google group.
Yeah.
So it's like not really too important of a component in the release process, but and the change log is created on the Kubernetes repo, so I've managed to use that in order to post the k8s Google group. Yeah, still digging into that, but we'll update tomorrow on how far we've gotten through.
Okay, cool. Any other questions for branch management? All right, is Josh on the line for the Emeritus lead update? Okay, I don't think I see him. I'm gonna, if I were to think of what Josh would want us to think about, leads, make sure you have nominations for your successor. Remember, or yeah, put them in the repo, and like keep in mind we are getting very close to the end of our release cycle, and the sooner we have all the leads lined up, the sooner we can send out the shadow survey. So very helpful if we can get that info all slated for the 116 release lead. So they have a team at the end of the cycle that they can be confident about. So try to get that done, your succession plans. And then I think he also has an open repo if anyone has feedback around the shadow survey. And I don't have links to either on me, but I will try to dig them up and post them into the notes. And then moving on to my update, I'm going to say we're yellow since quite a few other groups like Bug Triage and Comms definitely want to get those sorted out. Upcoming milestones have not changed since yesterday. We're still looking June 10th, docs last call. June 11th is code thaw. And then June 11th is also RC1. June 13th is the cherry pick, and then June 17th is our slated release date. So we are nearing the end. I think my only open calls for everyone are, as you have feedback about the release, please put it in the retro doc. And as a reminder, I think we're going to try to have our retro on June 20th. And I have an action item to figure out who a good facilitator for that would be. So hopefully I will get somebody who's able to help us during that community meeting. Additionally, had one other thought that I was gonna, additionally, leads, as we're also nearing the end of the cycle, if you haven't already, start looking through the handbook and making any edits to the handbook that you think would be helpful for whoever your successor is, any items that maybe have changed over the course of your release, or any items that you'd think would be helpful for your successor or future successors to know about. Also thinking that for a lot of shadows, they use these handbooks to kind of get an idea of what the role is like. So if you're seeing that possibly your handbook has a lot of, it's lacking content around what the shape of the role actually looks like, and it's stuff that maybe gets passed from lead to shadow during that lead to shadow process, it's also possibly worth including just so shadows know what they're signing up for. So update your handbooks if as needed. And lastly, just given who is able to attend which burndown call, we're going to talk tomorrow about dissolving the test info role. There's an open issue for it, and we think we should have the quorum of folks who care about that. So we're going to do that during the open discussion session in tomorrow's burndown. So if you care deeply that you want to be involved in that discussion, make sure to attend tomorrow's burndown. Again, it'll happen in the open discussion section. So we're getting towards that at about, 23 minutes into the meeting, 15 to 23 on average. So yeah. Any questions for me? Okay. If not, we have one open item that was added by Stephen, who was not able to be here today, around updating the CNI to version 0.8.1. And I believe they are deferring to me to decide if we want to put the new CNI version into the 1.15 release. Looking at this, there's not a lot of details in the issue that give me a lot of confidence, given how close we are to the end of our cycle, that there might not be issues by updating the CNI, especially as we're possibly trying to revert another dependency in the release as we to be determined if what happens with the core DNS. But I'm a little concerned given CI signal is just starting to stabilize. George, looking to you, like, what would your level of confidence / lack of confidence in this be given CI signal?
I think I think it is a bit concerned. I remember CNI update during the beginning of this release also breaking a bunch of things. And I also don't have any details. I also just discovered the issue that Stephen created. I don't have any information to say whether it is safe, how safe, or something. But I know, at least I know that CNI upgrades have broken a bunch of things in the past, so we should be really careful with that.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards a no here just because we're about a week and like a couple working days out from when we're actually releasing, and that does not give me a lot of confidence merging this unless there's a very, very compelling reason. So I will let Stephen know and see if Stephen has a very compelling reason why this must be merged this late and why it can't be deferred to either a patch or the next release. anyone on the call have concerns about that course of action for deferring this?
No, I think that's the right move. I think the other thing to consider is it's a minor release, not a patch release within the same version. So changing minor versions, it's probably not a good time to do it. I quickly jumped over and looked at the release notes. You know, they're as long as my arm. So for 0.8, and 0.8.1 was cut less than 24 hours ago. So
Yeah.
they would all be things that weigh into or support your decision, Claire.
Cool. All right. I will comment on the issue, let Stephen know, see if he can come up with a very, very compelling reason. And then if he does, I will bring it back to the group, hopefully tomorrow. Cool. Any other questions or comments? Any other items anyone wants to discuss today? All right, then. I think we can end today's call and give everyone 33 minutes back.